money?
I think the best thing we can do from a federal government perspective is create the environment and have a discussion around all of the things that need to happen. Where can the federal government do its job better? And our job is to make sure our money is used more effectively, that we know how to spend our money and we're spending it on things that work, not just things that, that we've been funding for a long period of time. And get the environment and the discussion right, and then let others take over, because we're not going to do it all. We can't do it all ourselves. We don't have all the money, but we can certainly move we can certainly move in the right direction and set the pace for where it should go.
Who would do it then?
I think foundations, I think corporations, I think local community organizations. I think there's a lot that's happening in states, and the states have to take that. The federal government can't do everything, and we're not going to find those innovations.
Megan, I think she just tossed the ball to you. At google.org. So when you hear that and you hear Bob, and you have your google.org has got this reputation of being very serious about social change, thinking very innovatively about it. But when you hear this, or the magnitude of the challenge, how do you respond to that? How do you think about it? I mean, you represent this younger generation too, trying to tackle these.
We're a young company, so we're new to this space. I think the way that we approach this is the way we look at all kinds of challenges, whether there are corporate challenges or .org related challenges. How can we come in and do something innovative, kind of think through differently? I'll give you an example. Not necessarily, like for example, we just worked together with a bunch of our tech peers to put together the technology that's now underneath serve.gov. So we really need, the federal government is not going to solve this. Nonprofits, it's only through all of us working together. And so we need to take tools. Google can come with tech tools, our partners, Facebook, Craigslist, others. We can come with technology tools, that's our role. I think the $50 million is actually a huge amount of money, because I would just say stone soup that. And what that means is, by having some way to gather us, even if you guys come together as a smaller group, we can all come around you and we can get ourselves organized. Very important. It's going to take people from all sectors to do this.
Yeah. Well, even going back to the foundation world, if you look at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they have not only invested heavily in health issues, international development, but also in K-12 reform here. And they have found, it's been a hard go for them, but they've poured a lot of money into education reform, but increasingly it's obvious that the Gates Foundation is not going to pay for the reform, it's just going to help find some of the answers, but somebody else. They've come more and more to believe it's not class size, but teacher quality that is the determinative factor and children's outcomes. But that requires the state, somebody, to put a lot of money into professional development of teachers.
Sure.
And really to build that up. And the foundation world can't do that. Well, the foundation world's not equipped to do that.
I think, again, I think it's all of us, and I think what the companies need to do, or the innovators, you need to do what you're good at. Right. I mean, the Home Depot people were just up here, and they're doing really interesting sustainable building things and materials. So the Gates Foundation is doing incredible work and innovating around schools. If you look at the Lucas Foundation, they are great at telling, George Lucas, he's a storyteller. What does he bring? He goes and finds incredible innovations in education, and he makes a film, so that you can share that data. At Google, we're good at programming and code and information and those kinds of things. That's what we should bring. Facebook does amazing community things and the other things that
right. You've just talked about your support through technology of the government. How would you address, are there ways that through technologies you can also support the nonprofit community? All these good folks out here who are working hard?
I think a lot of the tech companies are doing that. Causes is a good example of this. We have many programs supporting nonprofits. A lot of our products are free, and so people use our docs and spreadsheets and all those tools. We have a program called Google Grants, so when you do the search, the ads come up on the side, and we give tens of millions of dollars every year to any nonprofit who wants to apply to promote their causes. We were just talking about reaching out to youth. Well, youth are all over the web, and they're on Google, they're on Facebook. Let's use those platforms. We do that kind of work. And then as google.org, we're busy trying to do technology work that we can partner up with the nonprofits. And so it's through a dialogue with them about what are the greatest challenges. and taking sort of our Google approach, our young sort of brash entrepreneurial approach, and saying, okay, how could we actually work on that and do something different there?
I understand. Sean, let me turn to you. I've got a sort of a double barrel. First, I want to start with today, where we are, and then I'd like to ask you to sort of envision what the future might look like a few years down the road. But today, you've heard a lot of this conversation about technologies. Here's Sonal is working in the White House. How do we integrate technologies into what the Obama administration is trying to do with the social change community? And you've obviously been extremely creative in this regard.
Well, at Causes on Facebook, we started with the realization that all of this social capital that had been built around social networks like Facebook wasn't being exploited for any real productive, great purpose to try to make the world a better place. Facebook was seen as somewhat frivolous, like an entertainment destination. And what had really happened was, for the first time in human history, we had created a relatively accurate map of all the social connections that exist between real people. Now, it's getting more and more accurate over time as people specify the exact nature of those connections. And we sort of came to this realization that there's a lot of great things that we could get done using that map of connections. And as we turned our attention to various different sectors like politics and the nonprofit sector, we realized that there was this massive shift that was going on. And part of it, we saw this with the Obama campaign and the last election. We've seen it with nonprofits beginning to move online and raise money more successfully. But the tools were very much behind. So when I left Facebook, my partner Joe and I decided to start Causes in order to help empower nonprofits to try to do more online, to raise more money, to raise awareness, to create petitions, to recruit new volunteers, using the social relationships that have been mapped out on Facebook for the very first time. The nonprofit sector is $300 billion. So it's $300 billion, $308 billion a year is donated. A large portion of that comes from the sort of old model of check and envelope direct marketing, where an organization raises money by sending a huge amount of direct mail and using their email lists, and the amount of money that they invest is related to the amount of money that comes out. The old model of organizing was more the local chapter model. It had to do with social capital, with individuals asking other individuals to help, and that went all the way up in a hierarchical structure to the top of the organization. What we're trying to do with Causes is to combine the efficiency of that old local chapter model with the scale and reach and magnitude of the model that has been reigning over the last 40 years.
So, as I understand what you're saying, it's a little hard to hear up here, actually. The approaches that Barack Obama brought to his campaign for fundraising, which were extraordinarily successful through the internet, and instead of depending on big donors, he had a huge number of smaller donors that fuel that campaign. That in effect is also where the nonprofit world can increasingly go with perhaps some more confidence.
We believe that that's true, and we've seen some evidence of this. We have 60 million registered users on Causes. We've been around for about 2 years. We've raised about $10 million at this point for a large number of charities. And the power of the application is all about unlocking the hidden power of your social network. Everyone has this power locked within their network of friends. Activists understand this, community organizers understand this, but the average person doesn't understand that they have this power which they can unlock. So our goal is to try to build a set of tools which unlock that power, and the implications of this are that we can allow individuals to understand that they have the power to change the world. We hopefully can allow small nonprofits to compete on a level playing field with larger nonprofits that have much larger budgets. And hopefully we can scale the whole nonprofit sector.